What is up, everyone, and welcome to some more F1 23 My Team career mode. And we're here for round number 8 of season 6 of our Jaguar racing career, and we are going to be at the Spanish Grand Prix this time out. Last time out we were in the Monaco Grand Prix, and as you might expect if you've watched any of my previous seasons but for whatever reason didn't watch the last video, we did of course get a win in Monaco. It is turning very quickly into one of my strongest tracks on the Formula 1 calendar. Seems like I am just imperious around there, mostly due to my strong performances in qualifying, which, to be fair, are characteristic of a lot of circuits on the Formula 1 calendar, but simply it's that it's quite hard to overtake at Monaco, and as a result I was able to convert that pole position into a win, and we're currently just 25 points down on Charles Leclerc in the Drivers' Championship, 6 points behind George Russell, and we lead by a whopping 45 points at this early stage in the Constructors' Championship when we're only about a third of the way through the season. So things are looking quite good for us right now, and hopefully we will be able to move on and get things sorted for the Spanish Grand Prix in time. I did the supercar event here. I actually do all of these, and this was no exception. Did the drift event, got the gold, all was good. I don't tend to show them, but since this is a little bit of a shorter video, I thought I would at least show you the result I got from that one. And now we're going to actually move on to the Spanish Grand Prix race weekend properly after we've made our way through that supercar event as well. They are not the most thrilling events, I will say that much. I think when you are used to racing in the Formula 1 cars and then you go into racing in cars that are quite significantly bulkier and slower and hard to turn around the corners, harder to brake, it's a bit of a sort of shock to the system, I think. But nonetheless, I do them because they provide a good source of cash and acclaim. At the beginning of the season, that was absolutely essential. Now it's not so essential, I would say, but I still do them just to make sure that we're continually boosting our acclaim, boosting our cash gain, so that one day we might have a fully upgraded set of facilities in every department. But now it's time for us to get into practice, and as you're about to see, I was in fact fastest in practice, and that was very surprising because this very rarely happens. Even when I do a soft compound tyre run, I tend to fall down the order quite quickly because I do all my runs quite early in the session, and most of the other drivers will improve over the course of the session due to track evolution and things like that. But on this occasion, yes, I was fastest, and I was feeling quite fast as well. This new setup I was running here was feeling really, really good for me. I actually upgraded the difficulty slightly from the last few races because I've been quite dominant, so I decided to up the difficulty a little bit, and well, it means maybe very little because I seem to just still be very, very dominant around here as things go. We set the fastest time of Q1 so far, and that was actually without DRS because we didn't have a working DRS. The entire lap there was no DRS. So yeah, we are looking very good around here. Norris pushes us down into P2, and well, my DRS wasn't working for the first half of the lap. It did turn itself back on for the second DRS zone. So we did have a little bit of DRS on that lap, but we didn't manage to improve. So it's only P2 here in Q1, but I'm optimistic if I can actually get DRS for a full lap around here, I should be more than capable of challenging for P1. Now, I was a little bit nervous when Charles Leclerc didn't show his face in the top 14, but there he is in P16, so he has made it through to Q2, which is more than could be said for Sargent, De Vries, Ocon, Tsunoda, Verstappen and Stroll. Verstappen down in P21. Having an absolutely torrid time once again in that Ferrari. It just feels like Max Verstappen has just been completely unable to get on a run of form in any of the seasons that I've done on this year's game. He did mount a bit of a championship challenge in a couple of the seasons that we've done, but all of the years that he was in Red Bull, the years that he was in the Aston Martin, and now being in the Ferrari, it just seems like it's not working out for him consistently enough to make a championship challenge. On the used soft compound tyres, we did a 1:10.2, which was, already a fairly good lap time. Would have been good enough for P3 in the session, but we do actually improve even further than that by about 0.6 of a second on those fresh soft compound tyres to a 109.6. First driver in the 109s this weekend, I believe. And yeah, that was good enough to put us P1, and hopefully we'll be able to convert that into a pole position when we get through into Q3. Yeah, a few drivers getting quite close to the 109s, but nobody actually making it in there yet. Charles Leclerc is out in Q2, which is very disappointing. He was about 3/10 off of Kevin Magnussen as well, so would have needed quite a significant improvement to make it through. And he joins Lawson, Joe, Fittipaldi, Piastri and Hauger in the drop zone. The Williams having a bit of a disappointing one, but the Hasses having a very good session. 5th and 7th, making both cars in Q3. I'm sure that we will see maybe a points finish from those guys at the end of the race tomorrow. But for us, it is now a case of making our way through into Q3, and hopefully we'll be able to challenge for that coveted pole position. We obviously had pole in Monaco, so this would be back-to-back pole positions for us if we can grab it here in Spain as well. As we make our way onto our first flying lap, we're on a used set of tyres, setting a banker lap. Not the cleanest final few corners, as you can see there, and it's a 1:10.3, a little bit slower than our banker lap in Q2, but like I said, it's only a banker lap. We're only 0.03 of a second off Perez, who assumedly has gone on a fresh set of soft compound tyres. So I think we've got a very good chance of bagging pole position here. And this was actually one of the finest laps I think I've driven in Formula 1. I don't say that all too often. I think I did it on one occasion last season where I actually showed you the full quali lap because of how enamoured I was with my performance. And you can see here, clearly I am doing a fairly good job because we are improving by quite a lot. Out of the final corner, we gain even more time, and it's going to be a 109.0, so close to the 108s, but it's very comfortably pole position. I believe it's pole position by over a second, and hopefully that will translate into some race pace tomorrow as well.
With qualifying finished, it's time to remind ourselves of our top three: Robinson, Perez and Kevin Magnussen. Goodbye for now then, but we are really just getting started. Make sure you join us again for Lights Out tomorrow.
It's a 109.0 for us. The next closest car was on a 110.3. So, yeah, very, very dominant performance here in qualifying. Very happy with that. Jahan Daruvala coming good in P7. Probably the best performance he's had in a qualifying session so far, and we'll see if he can convert that into some points tomorrow. I'll be very interested. And, yeah, our job now is just going to be to try and keep the closest cars behind us as we challenge for the win in the Spanish Grand Prix.
Max Verstappen's first win for Red Bull on debut here. One of the great dramatic days in Formula 1 after the clash on the first lap of Hamilton and Rosberg. The entire crowd at turn 7 on their feet, cheering. An extraordinary race. It's always a treat to come back here for the Spanish Grand Prix. It's a sellout crowd of 140,000 here today as we await lights out for the long run down into turn 1. This is a 2.9-mile racetrack. Overtaking is challenging here, to put it mildly. There are 16 corners, but there's still a lot of drama and excitement to be found out there on track. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Robinson lines up on pole position, edging out Sergio Perez, who lines up P2. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Magnussen, Norris, Gasly, Russell, Daruvala, Albon, Teo Porcher, Doohan, Liam Lawson, Leclerc, Joe, Fittipaldi, Oscar Piastri, Hauger, Sargent, De Vries, Ocon, Tsunoda, Verstappen, and Lance Stroll brings the grid to a close. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track. And it is great to be joined once again in the commentary box by Natalie Pinkham. Nats, how has the sport changed in your time working in it? Let's talk about Robinson.
What a quality performance. The big question, though, is how does that translate on race day? Can they hold on to that lead? Beside that, of course, any kind of turn 1 incident could completely turn the race on its head. Let's keep our fingers crossed everyone can get through in one piece.
OK, we've got that relief of having points on the board finally, so let's keep that form up and get another top 10 finish today, please.
Right then, so the job is simple. Get our 3rd race win in a row. We won in Imola, we won in Monaco, and I want to win here again in Spain to make it 3 race wins in a row for what I think would be the first time in my career. I don't think I've ever had 3 in a row. I've definitely had, you know, quite a few in a very short succession. I think we had 6 in 8 races at one point last season, or maybe it was 5 in 7 or something like that. But I remember that we had quite a significant chunk of our victories in Season 5 come in that sort of midpoint of the season that we're starting to enter into now. and then towards the end of the season it was just about doing a good enough job to hold on to the championship lead, which we managed to do quite convincingly in the end. So yeah, I want to make sure that we can get ourselves back involved in this championship fight, and this would be a great opportunity to do it. With Leclerc starting outside of the points as well, I'm very optimistic about our chances of closing the gap to the top of the table as the rest of the cars form up on the grid now, and we will make our way to the lights, and we'll see what we can do as the lights come on and the lights go out. And we've had a good getaway once again compared to Sergio Perez, who is maybe falling back just a little bit. Although that said, he's actually closing me down a tiny bit. I don't know if he's going to go for a move up the inside into turn 1. No, it seems like Kevin Magnussen is keeping him occupied there as the Dane and the Mexican swap places a little bit there. And as a result, I'm almost out of Sergio Perez's DRS range already. You can see 0.8 is the gap to him. Yes, he's closing me down a little bit as we make our way into turn 4, and I actually go a little bit wide into turn 4. The tyre's not feeling super warmed up right now, but I'm sure as the race progresses, we'll be able to build a bit of confidence in the tyre, and hopefully that shouldn't be too much of an issue. But yeah, for now, Sergio Perez closing us down quite a little bit, considering we were almost 9/10 ahead of him at one point. He actually has made a pretty convincing argument to come back and try and take the position off me. And that was a little bit surprising to me, given my absolutely supreme pace in qualifying. But we should be okay, hopefully, to hold on to the position. And you can see in Sector 3 especially, in qualifying and in practice, this was the sector where I was comfortably faster than everyone else by about, 2-3 tenths, maybe more than that on some occasions. So yeah, Sector 3, that's where I'm going to break away, and that is really good. Mostly because it means that the cars won't always be close enough to go for a move on me down into turn 1. It's going to be very, very difficult for anyone to mount much of a challenge on me until we make our way towards lap number 5. We're at the end of lap 4 at the moment, and I went a little bit wide into the final corner, and that might just invite Sergio Perez in here. He will, of course, have the DRS as well. It is a two-way fight for the lead right now between myself and the Mexican Red Bull driver. He is going up the inside into turn 1, but he can't make the move happen on this occasion, and we are going to be able to defend from him quite comfortably this lead of the Spanish Grand Prix, and we will see if we can continue this trend. He didn't get close to us again until the end of lap 8. Once again, you can see just a little bit wide through that final corner, and that makes all the difference. Lando Norris getting involved in the battle a little bit now. George Russell not too far away, and Jahan Derulo has made his way up into P5 as well, so a good race from him so far as we try and go around the outside of Sergio Perez there. You can see that he made his way for a move on the inside once again, and we just about managed to keep him behind on this occasion, but I don't know how much longer we will be able to defend from him. You can see that maybe our tyres are just starting to wear out a little bit, not too much, as we actually go off the track there a little bit. But yeah, I'm quite struggling to keep the sort of same pace that I was showing earlier on in the race without kind of making a few mistakes, going a bit wide into some of the corners, braking a bit too late. The tyre performance starting to get away from me a little bit now, and we've still got another 6 laps to go before we're going to box onto those hard compound tyres, although there is actually a threat of rain looming as well. They say it's not too far away, so I'm actually thinking about taking these mediums all the way to the start of the wet patch of the race, but that could be a bit of a risky gamble to make, so I might just potentially play it safe and go onto a set of hard compound tyres at the pit stop phase anyway. But as we make our way around the final corner on lap 9 onto lap 10, you can see that the gap to Perez and Norris behind is very much coming down at quite a significant rate, and it's actually Lando Norris who's going to make the challenge up into turn 1, and we're going to have to try and hold him off, switch to the inside through the next corner, and we've kept hold of P1 for the time being. But Lando Norris, of course, we had not 1 but 2 championship battles with him over the last couple of seasons. He's not really managed to emerge as much of a protagonist in this championship in the first 7 races, but here in round 8 perhaps he might start to make a bit of a comeback as he goes for the switchback here. We get a bit of oversteer out of turn 5, and that is going to allow Lando Norris to make the move up into P1 and maybe gun for the victory here today in the Spanish Grand Prix. Meanwhile, Sergio Perez, who was a contender for the race win at one point during this race, has now fallen down to P4 off the podium. He just couldn't manage to hold on to Lando Norris when Lando Norris was attacking me. Lando Norris went for the double overtake into turn 1 on this lap, and now George Russell has managed to get ahead of him as well. Russell, of course, the prime candidate for Red Bull at the moment. Not too far off the top of the championship, only about 19 points away from Charles Leclerc, and this race would be an excellent opportunity for him as well to maybe get himself involved in the conversation for a bit of a championship comeback as well. So we're going to try and go for a move on Lando Norris. You can see he defends to the inside there. We actually make a bit of contact, bang wheels. I'm going to be on the outside for turn 2 this time, but I still managed to make the move stick without any real issues, and we are back up into that P1 position, but still a long way to go. 22 laps left in this Spanish Grand Prix. Lando Norris not going to give up the lead for free here in the Spanish Grand Prix, especially considering he's still chasing his first win of the season, and we are not going to give it to him if we can do anything about it. Unfortunately, we can't do anything about it because, as you can see, that is a mechanical failure. The engine has gone once again for the second time this season. It happened in Miami when I was leading the race. It's happened here in Spain while I am leading the race, and Lando Norris is going to inherit the lead from me with Russell and Perez moving into P2 and P3 respectively, and Charles Leclerc moving up into the points as a result of that as well. So a disappointing outcome for myself, but hopefully Charles Leclerc will be able to make a bit of a recovery. Having started P12 in the race, I hope that he will be able to come back a little bit, but this is immensely frustrating talking about comebacks because it means that we're going to have to wait just that little bit longer to try and get ourselves back involved in the conversation for a championship fight with our teammate Charles Leclerc and the other drivers who are sort of, you know, contending for that position at the moment.
They've done it then. A spectacular victory here in Spain and a massive confidence boost going into the next race. So, Natalie, what made the difference out there today?
I feel consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
Mercedes are on top form once again after an excellent race weekend. It's great to see them up on that podium once again.
So Lando Norris does, in the end, manage to grab his first win of the season. Who knows how the race might have unfolded had I stayed in it. Of course, there was rain that ended up coming, and he managed to stay on top despite that. So a good result from him. But for me, just a really, really frustrating turn of events. To have 2 DNFs so far this season, I gotta be honest with you, I don't see Russell and Perez DNFing this much, and we've got the same power unit, so there may be some foul plays, some kill switch or something going on there, but who knows.
It was not the best weekend for our championship leader, and their advantage at the top has been reduced. So let's have a look then at the drivers' standings. So then, Natalie Pinkham, who would you rank as your driver of the day?
I think for driver of the day, I'd probably pick Lando Norris. He lived up to every inch of his reputation today, and I think he'll be going home, quite rightly, a bit proud of himself.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. The owner-drivers team moved to the top of the table. There is also a strong showing from the Mercedes team today as they make their way up the standings. Well, that certainly was an exciting weekend of Formula One. Be sure to join us for more exciting Formula One action very soon.
So Charles Leclerc still leads the Drivers' Championship by a few points over George Russell. Not as many as before, obviously, as Russell bags that P2 there, and Leclerc has to settle for P5, which is actually a pretty decent result given where he started. So, yeah, fair enough. Charles Leclerc, I think he's definitely the best teammate I've had so far, and I'm very impressed with another strong performance from the Monegasque driver there. In the Constructors' Championship, our advantage has been cut in half. We're still leading, but not by quite as much, and yeah, I'm going to have a lot more work to do in the Drivers' Championship to close down both George Russell and Charles Leclerc. Next race, of course, is going to be Canada. If you know anything about Canada, you will know that this is one of the strongest tracks for me on the Formula One calendar. I am usually fairly imperious there, so hopefully that trend will continue, and we will see what happens. But that is going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed, please make sure you like and subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.